Mandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Malatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances to his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text number 26. Brandy, can you please leave that for later? Yeah. So just a little what's that? What's that?
It's had a folded there, the piece of paper. That must be the really a good one. Pashpam putram phalam toyam. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And there, offer to Krishna. Krishna will accept it.
Yes.
And then so if it's written there chicken, and all offer chicken. It's written there pushpam phalam patram swayam. So that's four things Krishna mentioned. That's it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty clear what we can offer God and what we can't offer God. And so just recapping on the previous verses, all very important verses. Like I said last week, this is the most confidential knowledge. So in this chapter, there's a lot of very important information. So like in text 24, for example, Krishna's explaining that all sacrifice should be directed towards him only. We shouldn't do any activities for the pleasure of any other personality. Just direct all of our efforts to try to please Krishna and nobody else. He's the enjoyer of all sacrifices. And as I said, sacrifice means you're doing an activity to please somebody else, and you're giving up your own enjoyment for the sake of somebody else. Sacrificing. And then text 25, what we did last week, is very clear in this verse that depending on who you sacrifice to, who you worship, that's where you're going to go. It doesn't mean that you can do any worship you want and everyone goes to the same place. There's a lot of Mayavad, kind of impersonalist, new age sort of philosophers, and they'll say it doesn't matter what you do, whoever you worship, everyone goes to heaven, everyone goes to the same place, whatever. That doesn't match up with reality. The reality is that according to who you worship, who you sacrifice to, that's where you're going to go. If you worship the demigods, you'll go to the demigods. If you worship the ancestors, you'll go to wherever they are. If you worship the ghosts, you'll go to wherever they are. And if you worship Krishna, the final line says, if you worship me, then you'll come to me. And in this verse is going to explain like how you can worship him. So text 25 said that if you worship Krishna, you'll go to Krishna. Okay, so the next question is, okay, so I want to worship Krishna and go to Krishna. How do I worship Krishna? So this verse 26 gives us some ideas, how we can worship Krishna. And as pointed out in this verse, text 26, it's very simple to worship Krishna. Just offer him these very simple things, and that's worshiping Krishna. Just a leaf, a fruit or flower, or water like that. But it's very important not just to offer the items, but also it's the mood, with some love, the feeling that hopefully as well as we're offering the leaf or the flower water, but offer it with some feeling, some love for Krishna, like that. So this is the verse we're on today. So let's read the Sanskrit. Patram puspam phalam toyam.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam.
Yo me bhaktya prayachati.
Yo me bhaktya prayachati.
Tadaham bhaktuparitam.
Tadaham bhaktuparitam.
Ashnami prayatatmana.
Ashwani prayatatmana. If one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it.
So this is Krishna speaking. Offers me So that's Krishna. So if one offers Krishna with love and devotion. So this is the main criteria, or two criterias, is you have the right attitude. You should have an attitude of devotion, of you want to develop your love, you want to direct your love to Krishna. So that's one important criteria. The other criteria is giving Krishna what he wants. So two important criteria. You got it? So you got to have the right attitude. And like for example, Kamsa was thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day. But is his thinking about Krishna regarded as bhakti, devotional service?
He's thinking of a fear, but he's still thinking.
Still thinking, but yeah, is his thinking about Krishna 24 hours a day, with being afraid that Krishna's going to kill him and very angry, wanting to kill Krishna before Krishna kills him, is that regarded as bhakti, his thinking about him 24 hours a day? Jayanti said he's not thinking favorably. So that's correct. Because his thinking is not, his attitude is not favorable. Thinking about Krishna is very good, but it should be with the right attitude. So if you're thinking, I want to kill Krishna, or I hate Krishna or whatever, then that's not regarded as bhakti. There's no mood of like here, love and devotion. So Krishna wants us to think about him with love and devotion, not with envy or hatred or anything like that.
Love can be different, like what you love to Vajra and what you love to Krishna. Love is love, or love can be vary, or what you love to Jayanti or love to Krishna is it different, or love is only love, that's it?
No, I mean, often our relationships in the material world are motivated, like that. So we do some service for someone, but we expect something in return. But the love for Krishna is the ultimate love, because it should be unconditional, unmotivated, and unconditional, uninterrupted. And often our relationships in the material get broken off when we don't get what we want from the other person or from the dog or whatever. Then the relationship may be cut off like that. So
how can you love someone unexpected, like nothing, just one way? Love is like a both way. How can you be just love
no,
Krishna?
but often what we call love is not real love. Like that's what we're saying. It's like more like business. That you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That's the saying, right? So that's very common in relationships. As long as you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. But if you stop scratching my back, I won't scratch yours anymore. So it's often like that, a business kind of exchange. We're expecting something out of the relationship, and if we don't get it, then we cut it off like that. So, and often, what are we relating to? Are we relating to the body of the dog or the soul of the dog? You're relating to the body of the human being or the soul of the human being? Because the real love is direct towards the soul, not just towards the body.
But then
Know what I'm saying?
Love between mother and a baby, that's unconditional.
Well, Prabhupada said that's the nearest example we have of what real love is in the material world, because she's, giving so much service to the baby and the baby's not doing anything back. However, Prabhupada said there may be some thought in her mind that in future when he or she grows up, then my child's going to look after me. When my son or daughter grows up, then they're going to look after me. So there may be some thought in future I'll be getting some service back. When I get old, they're going to look after me or like that. And I mean, I experienced even like with my parents, like when I took to Krishna consciousness, they were so upset with me, and they pretty much cut me off. They pretty much cut me off. They don't really want me to be around them. They said they feel very uncomfortable even eating with me because I have different food choices and like that. They feel uncomfortable about that, and so definitely it's not you know, even though parent and child is there, but still it can be interrupted, you know, can be interrupted, can be, you know, cut off to some degree. We know, even like I've been hearing so many lectures recently about Prabhupada talking in the seventh canto with Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. You know, so Hiranyakashipu got to the point he just wanted to kill his son. He
Yeah,
was so upset with the choices Prahlad made, they just wanted to kill him.
yeah.
You know, and he was so frustrated that he couldn't kill his son. He tried so many ways and he just wouldn't die. You know, he was so upset that even though he's so strong, he couldn't kill his son. So we see that, you know, there's not really many examples of true love in the material world because everyone's bodily conscious.
Yeah.
Everyone's bodily conscious and everyone's wants to be the enjoyer. Everyone's trying to play God's role. That this is all these relationships are for my enjoyment.
But it
And
is,
if it,
but at the same time,
mm,
so we are in the material world and we
yeah,
have a body.
yeah,
Okay. So the bodily needs are there.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
So you can say, oh, I did so much for you, but for your soul, I gave you Krishna consciousness and I did so much for you.
mm,
You know, people say like that and they'll be like, ah, and then they just ignore the body. Or you're dying, or you just die and sit quietly in pain in one corner.
mm.
I mean, that's not nice. So that is very callous. That is not actual Krishna consciousness. That you just looking after the soul.
Mm.
Oh, I'm giving you, you chant Hare Krishna in pain. You sit in the corner and chant Hare Krishna.
Mm.
That is not correct.
Yeah, but a fully pure devotee is not going to be callous like that. Although, I mean, what can you do? If someone has cancer or whatever like that, you can't wave a wand and fix them up or whatever. I mean, you can try to make them comfortable as possible. You know, like even on the farm, we'd experienced, you know, that well, if a cow's dying, what can you do? You can't, you know, wave a magic wand on the cow and it's going to suddenly get better. You just, you know, we would put like a shelter over the cow so it's not having the sun and the rain and the wind on it. And you keep water nearby and some dry grass nearby, and
Therefore,
you chant Hare Krishna to the cow. But I
so
mean,
that
you can't take away its pain.
no.
Well, what can we do?
I
The
did hear a lecture by Chaitanya Charan, and he was saying that it's like we still have to have compassion for us being human beings type thing, and you know the preaching needs to be done time, place, and circumstance. Like if somebody's partner just dies, well, you're not going to just sit there and go, well, you're not the body, you're the soul. You know, and hard preach to them. You're going to have that compassion, and then maybe in a week's time, then come back to looking after, like to preaching more so. So we have to have a bit of both.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like you know, yesterday I'm very pleased. My Prabhu took me to the beach after like 1,000 years. So that was very nice.
That was very nice.
Okay, but careful, he wants something in return.
But I mean, see, a more advanced devotee is going to realize that even the body of the devotee is important. Even the body, even all their household items, they're all spiritual by being used in Krishna's service. Because the body of a devotee is being used in Krishna's service. The car of the devotee, the money of the devotee, the house of the devotee, like that. So everything is important once we become Krishna conscious. It's not that we're just callous to all these things, because even what we call a material thing is also Krishna's energy. So Krishna says, right, 7th chapter, text 4 that, and 5, that earth, water, you know, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego is my energy. And then text 5, he says the soul is my energy. So it's all Krishna's energies. So if we're more advanced in Krishna consciousness, we'll have respect even for what we call material things, not really seeing them as material. Actually, advanced, you know, person in advanced knowledge sees that, you know, ultimately everything is Krishna because everything's connected to Krishna, related to Krishna. Prabhupada tells how his father Gurmahan day, if he found a piece of rice on the ground, he would pick it up and touch it to his head in respect. So even so much respect, even for just a piece of rice, seeing what was he thinking? Prabhupada explained that he was thinking that this grain of rice has been provided by God. It's the mercy of God to provide, sustenance, maintenance from some living entity. So he's respecting that this rice is given by God for the maintenance of some living thing like that. So I disagree that an advanced devotee is going to we just love the soul and we ignore all the so-called material things. But neophyte devotees have got it all mixed up. They're still trying to work out what's going on. So, I mean, that's the criteria of a Kanistha Adhikari, a neophyte devotee, is they have very less knowledge. So they're developing some faith that Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead and we should serve Krishna, but they still don't have, much knowledge about the full picture. But at least they're on the right track. At least they're, like this verse is saying, they're coming to worship Krishna, and then slowly things will get sorted out from there. But they have to advance beyond that neophyte platform of just having a little bit of knowledge, and they have to keep on progressing.
I'm just thinking about what you said about Prabhupada's dad. I mean, that is so deep because we just, at least for me, like I'm cooking, I'm like, I have to cook. Okay, I know I'm going to offer, so I'm cooking this for Krishna, something like that.
Yeah.
But to the extent that, all this rice, see, the consciousness at that time is not really thinking that, this rice is the mercy of Krishna, or this vegetable. Sometimes I do think when I go to the garden, I thank the plant when I've taken something sometimes, but it's not automatic. It doesn't. And what I notice is all these things take time. Like they take time for me to do. It's not like automatically being done. And I'm just saying that it takes a long time. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but it's just that it's not something that it's just running in the blood, that it just comes automatically and it'll just happen automatically. And, it's, but when you take a conscious effort, even like when you're doing puja and you say some prayers and you're making a conscious effort, what I'm trying to say is all that actually takes time. And I'm just thinking that maybe in those days they had more time on their hands and life was so much easier.
Definitely.
Whereas now it's like rush, and you're still trying to do everything, squeeze all those kind of things in this life as well. Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, I'm going now.
So yeah, definitely what Johnny was saying, to be Krishna conscious takes a conscious effort, because naturally, what's going on naturally is that we're very passionate and trying to just satisfy our senses. That's what we've been doing for millions of lifetimes in the plants and in the body of plants and birds and fish and animals and so forth. Life after life, we've been trying to satisfy our senses, and you're hungry and you eat something, and you're tired and you just sleep somewhere and everything. So we haven't been cultivating Krishna consciousness for a long time. So suddenly now we're trying to change it to being Krishna conscious. So it takes practice, and that's why it's called sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means you're practicing devotional service, because we've got out of the habit. Of course, if you go back far enough, originally we were all Krishna conscious. Originally we were all in the spiritual world serving Krishna, and we've left that for quite some many births. So now we just have to get back into that. So it can come back to the natural point, because originally that's what we are, all Krishna conscious by nature. But we've just got to revive. So Prabhupada often use that word, revive. So we're just reawakening or reviving. We've been like sleeping for so long in Maya. So it takes a while, as you know, sometimes when you're coming out of sleep, it takes a while. Where am I? What am I doing? Who am I and everything? It takes a bit of while when you're coming out of ignorance to become fully conscious. So we're still in that stage of waking up from a long sleep like that. But yeah, it's a very good results if we can just persevere. So we have to be a bit patient with ourselves and others. And but if we persevere, we can get the best result. Go back home, back to Godhead, and be eating with Krishna, like in this verse is talking about offering Krishna food. So we can, if we purify ourselves sufficiently, we can be sitting in a circle with Krishna and Krishna's friends, and he'll be in the center of the circle. And have you seen that picture of Krishna eating with the cowherd boys? And Krishna's in the middle, and everyone's sitting around and looking at Krishna, eating from their nice prasadam packages that their mums have sent with them. And so we can get to that point. Get to that point. But yeah, this verse is pointing out that worshipping Krishna is very easy. It's very simple. You don't have to be very rich, or you don't have to be a great scholar or philosopher or something. Even the most uneducated, even the most poorest person can worship Krishna just by picking any leaf, getting some nice clean water, offering a flower, preferably a fragrant flower. Fragrant flowers are always preferable if you have a choice between some flower that doesn't have a smell and a flower that does have a nice smell, and not a bad smell either. Should hopefully have a good smell, because there are flowers that have a bad smell too. And because even, the three modes of nature are everywhere, right? Sattva gun, Rajagun, Tamagun. So even in plants, there are tamasic plants, there are rajasic plants and sattvic plants like that. What's an example of a plant in the mode of goodness? Can you tell me? An example of a plant in the mode of goodness.
A plant to
Oh
just
dear.
if we have to eat. What do you mean, that a flower or
Yeah, it could be a flower or something edible.
any roses?
Yeah, rose is in the mode of goodness. Yeah.
Lotus, roses, and all that it's beautiful.
Yeah. Like banana tree, mango tree is the mode of goodness. Whereas something that, like, I used to be a big fan of like New Zealand native trees, but now coming to Krishna consciousness, I realize that mostly New Zealand native trees are in the mode of ignorance, because they don't have any real utility that we can use in Krishna's service so much. They generally don't have any flowers with any nice smell. Usually they're very small flowers, can't even hardly see them.
Anyway, it's still Krishna's creation anyway.
Yeah, the Krishna's creation, but there's different qualities within Krishna's creation. Like I said, mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness, that's everywhere. Even human beings, there's human beings in goodness and passion, ignorance. So same with plants, same with animals, like that. Like cows in the mode of goodness, whereas a dog would be probably in the mode of passion, I'd say. And then especially my dog is always running around and barking his head off. And then, and some things in the mode of ignorance, always sleeping. Like a human being, if it's sleeping all the time and everything, it's mode of ignorance. But if an animal or whatever is sleeping all the time or whatever, like a bear, right? So bear is definitely in a mode of ignorance.
Sleeps 18 hours a day. Koala.
What's that? Koala, yes. Fully in the mode of ignorance, yeah. Three quarters at least. 3/4 in the mode of ignorance, yeah. Like that. And if something has more utility in Krishna's service, that's more mode of goodness, definitely. You can offer the roses, flowers to Krishna, like that. That's mode of goodness. But like that. So preferably offer some mode of goodness flower like that to Krishna, and you try to get the best you can. And that's part of what, offering with love and devotion. If you have love and devotion, you'll try to get a nice flower, a fresh flower like that. Like you can buy some flowers from the market and spend a lot of money.
It's a bit noisy here. I'm going to the van. You continue that. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can buy some flowers from the market and spend a lot of your hard-earned money, but they're probably not going to have any smell, and they're probably a bit old also. So if you have more love and devotion, what would you do?
Grow some.
Grow some, yeah, make a little garden and grow some flowers that have a nice smell. So I planted roses that only have a good smell. I don't plant any roses if they don't have a good smell, like that. And many other flowers I've planted. So we've got hundreds of different kinds of flowers. And also we've got flowers growing that because most flowers don't come 12 months of the year. One particular plant, like roses come in summer or whatever. So you want to offer something to Krishna in autumn too. And so you need a different flower. And you want to offer something in winter, so you need a different flower. And something in spring, so you need a different flower. So, if you have more love and devotion, then you'll think, well, what can I'll grow some flowers so that 12 months of the year I can offer some nice fragrant flowers to Krishna. Like that. So this is what we want to develop, the quality of our service like that, so we can, and also especially leaves, right? What is it? You can offer, any kind of sort of edible leaves, but specifically Tulsi is referred to, especially Tulsi. So whenever we offer some, food stuff to Krishna, should always try to be Tulsi leaves there. So like that, if you have more love and devotion, then you'll try to grow a Tulsi plant like that. Some climates are very difficult, so you need a greenhouse, you need special lights and heaters and stuff like that. But in a warmer climate, it becomes much easier to keep Tulsi even outside. Tulsi can grow. But this is, to please Krishna, to worship Krishna. Then we want to do these things. And yeah, Krishna will be very pleased. And if you don't have Tulsi leaves, either fresh ones or dry, you can also have dry Tulsi leaves. Like in the winter, you might not be able to get fresh ones so easily. So when you do have a lot of fresh leaves, you can dry the leaves and then use the dried leaves in winter or whatever like that to put, at least one on a plate like that. And if you don't have that, you can get a Tulsi stick, like a Tulsi plant that's dried up. Don't throw away those dried up branches. Those sticks can be used, and if you don't have the leaves, you can touch the water with that stick. Touch the rice and the dal and the curry and the pakoras and the halava and the chapati and everything. Touch it with that stick, and then wash the stick, and you can keep reusing that stick. Keep reusing that stick, and every time you do an offering, if you don't have the leaves, you can just touch the items that you're offering with a stick, and then that's like having Tulsi there, like that. So this is how we develop our relationship with Krishna, by giving him things that he likes. So he's telling us here what things he likes. So like Gulshan said, we're not going to offer him, lamb and steak and chicken and fish, because he's not asking for those things. If you're serving someone, you have to give them what they want, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's real service. Otherwise, if you give somebody something that they don't want, that's a disservice. You know what I mean? That's a disservice. If you give, if you're serving a diabetic person, you're going to give them a plate full of food loaded with sugar and everything to make their health condition worse. They're not going to want to eat it, and it's going to be bad for them, and they're going to suffer. No, so you have to consider, what the person wants. Some people like spicy food. Okay, give them spicy food. Some people don't want spicy food, so don't give them that, like that. So, I spend a lot of time when I was managing at the farm trying to teach the Indian cooks to put less chili, less
They,
chili in the
they,
food.
they
They
don't
don't
understand.
take, they don't really understand. They don't really understand.
I mean, it's,
And because a lot of Aussies can't handle that.
yep,
So what's the point? They can't eat the prasadam.
yeah,
Then that's a disservice. If you're cooking in such a way that they can't eat the food, then that's not service. That's a disservice. Of course, some people like more chili, but you can always have like a pickle or a chutney or some fresh chilies there for people that like extra heat. And that way everyone can be happy. But if you
yeah.
put too much in everything at the beginning, then you can't eat it. I remember, here she comes back. Hare Krishna, Bhakti Miller. Hare Krishna, you there? You,
I'm sorry. Yeah, my internet's not very good.
internet's not very good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah, all I was saying
Yeah.
is that, like, for example, as in Australia, if you're putting too much chili in the prasadam, then a lot of Aussies may not be able to enjoy it. And is that a service? No, it's a disservice. If they can't even eat the prasadam, then that's a disservice the cook is doing. I mean, one time we went to see Bipul, actually. We went to see Bipul in Malaysia. So you remember Bipul, right?
Yeah.
And we were on the way to India. So we stopped over in KL and Kuala Lumpur and saw Bipul. So he came out, he took us to an ISKCON restaurant there in KL. And I've never had so much hot food in my life. I couldn't eat it. I couldn't eat it. Even Jayanti couldn't eat it. She's Indian. She
Really?
couldn't eat it. It was so hot. And actually, Jayanti and I were both sick after that for some days. We had like diarrhea and I just couldn't eat. I was so sick. And then actually went to Juhu Temple when we arrived in India the next day, and they and on Ekadasi, and there was also super hot Ekadasi meal and that made us even more sick. So
Oh
I
my
was
God.
like doubly sick, and it just screwed up my stomach completely. And I mean, Krishna says that food that's too spicy is in the mode of passion.
Yeah.
We can look that up. 18th chapter. It talks about food in different modes.
Yeah.
Foods in different modes. 18th chapter. Let's see if we can find it without too much effort. Should be about the middle of the 18th chapter. No, not there, not there, not there. Different modes. Or is it that one? Food. Where is it? Food. Maybe it's 17th chapter. Visions of faith. Yeah, I think it's 17th chapter, so we're just going to look at that. Already given out. Sacrifice. Sacrifice.
Yeah, a text about 9 or
Yeah, good spotting, good spotting. Yeah, let's read 8, 9, and 10.
Food dear
17th chapter.
Food dear to those in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such food are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. Food that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such food cause distress, misery, and disease. Food is prepared for me, then 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decompose and putrid, and the food
Putrid means like rotten. It's gone off. Yeah.
and food
It's
consist
bad smell. It means like bad smell. Putrid means like bad smell, yeah,
the
because
food
it's gone bad.
consisting remnant and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness.
So consisting of remnants and untouchable things. So that means like, flesh and dead animals and things like that. That's like untouchable things. And remnants means, food that other people have eaten, or some animals or other people have already eaten from it, and then you're eating their remnants. So, of course, eating the remnants of the exception to that would be eating the remnants of an advanced devotee of Krishna. That's good. That's very good. If you eat the leftover remnants of an advanced devotee, that's very good. But if you eat like ordinary people's remnants or whatever, that's, very ignorant like that, or some animals eaten from the plate or whatever. You know, that's very, you know, food in the mode of ignorance like that, food that's very old. So if we want to offer food to Krishna, it should be in the mode of goodness. So it's that text 8, that's what we should be trying to offer Krishna, that kind of food and the mode of goodness. And not this also like passion, you know, like too hot, too pungent, like I said, too much chili, too bitter, too sour, too much salt, like that, too dry. You know, like a lot of Western diet food is in the mode of passion, definitely too dry. Too dry, you know, like your burgers and your buns and bread and everything. It's all dry food. Have you noticed that? A lot of Western food is very dry, very dry. Pizzas, you know, all the breads, baked items, like that, very dry. If you're going to have some dry item in the meal, there should be wet items there to balance that. Like if you have some bread or bun or whatever, have some soup or something there to balance that out. Otherwise, if everything is just dry, that's, you know, food in the mode of good passion. And like it says that in the mode of passion, that food will lead to disease. That will cause disease, misery. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. And we see in modern day society, a lot of people have disease. You know, a lot of people very miserable. Their health condition is very miserable because they're doing like this. They're eating food that's too hot. Like in India, they get ulcers, their stomach ulcers because they eat too much hot food. Their stomach linings all burnt out by the chili, and definitely that's misery. And the West eats so much dry food that leads to different health problems, and that causes misery like that. So when we're making an offering to Krishna, we should be in the mode of goodness like that. Not too much salt, not too less, not too sour, not too less sour, not too much hot, not too less. And should be some heat, like some ginger, some black pepper, maybe a little bit of chili, but not to make the food excessively hot like that, but enough heat to help digest, and then that's good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's read the purport. Bhakti Mali, you're still with us? Your picture's frozen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's sort of a little bit broken, your voice, but we can hear you somewhat.
I can hear you, so
Okay, that's good,
you
as long
guys
as you're able to
just
hear.
keep.
Okay,
Maybe
Bhakti.
maybe Gulshan can read.
I always read. You read. Nah, your voice is broken. That's okay. I'll go.
Okay.
For the intelligent person, it is essential to be a Krishna conscious, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, in order to achieve a permanent, blissful abode of eternal happiness. The process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor, without any kind of qualification. The only qualification required is the connection is to be pure devotee of Lord. It does not matter what one is or where one is situated. The process is so easy that even leaf or a little water or a fruit can be offered to Supreme Lord in genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. No one, therefore, can be barred from Krishna consciousness.
Barred. No one can be barred.
Yes.
Means kept away.
Yeah. Because it is so easy and universal. Who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by this simple method and thus attain the highest perfectional life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Krishna wants only loving service and nothing more. Krishna accepts even a little flower from his pure devotee. He does not want any kind of offering from a non-devotee. He is not in need of anything from anyone because he is self-sufficient, and yet he accepts the offering of his devotees in an exchange of love and affection. The developed Krishna consciousness to develop Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life. Bhakti is mentioned twice in this verse or order to declare more emphatically that bhakti or a devotion service is the only mean to approach Krishna. No other condition, such as becoming a Brahmana, a learned scholar, a very rich man, or a great philosopher, can induce Krishna to accept some offerings.
Means you can't force Krishna. Means you can't force Krishna to take your offering.
Without the basic principle of bhakti, nothing can be induced the Lord to agree to accept anything from anyone. Bhakti is never casual. The
causal.
Yeah. The process is essential.
Eternal.
It is action in service to absolute whole. You continue?
No, stop there for now. That's quite a lot there already. Yeah, so one important point is that, well, I mean, Prabhupada's saying that, you know, if we want to go back to Godhead for eternal life of bliss and knowledge, then the only way to do that is by worshipping Krishna. So that's clear, and that's said in the previous verse. If you worship Krishna, you can come to Krishna. And where is Krishna? Krishna's in the spiritual world, where life is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. So if you want to get liberated from this material world, the only way you're going to get liberated from this material world is to worship Krishna, because that's where he is. He's in the spiritual world. If you worship the demigods, they're in the material world. It means you have to come back. If you worship the ancestors, they're in the material world. You have to come back. If you worship the ghosts and spirits, they're in the material world. You have to come back. You know, so you're just going to continue the cycle of birth and death, suffering. But if you worship Krishna, you get out of the material world. You go to the spiritual world. You go back to Godhead. And it's very easy to worship Krishna just by offering these simple things, but with love and devotion. That's the main thing.
No force.
Yeah, and you can't force Krishna, because Krishna's independent. You know, he's the supreme controller. He cannot be controlled by anyone. He controls everyone else. No one can control him. And he already has everything. Krishna has everything. He's got hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, Lakshmi, serving him hand and foot in the spiritual world. What is in need from us? Is he gonna gain something if we offer him a leaf, a fruit, or flower, or water? Now, he has a lot more than that already in the spiritual world. All he really wants from us, like Prabhupada indicates here, is our love. That's all he wants. He just wants our love. And that leaf we're giving, that flower, that water, is just a token. You know, it's an external way that we can show and manifest our feelings. I mean, if you have a feeling for someone in your heart, how do you show that? If I have a feeling for you, how do I reveal the feeling in my heart for you? You have to give something.
Yeah, that's right. Like when you're in the bhakti tree, you just check up my salary because you had a good feeling.
We had a good feeling. We jacked up his salary.
Brett, I don't think so. Brett has got a good feeling for me because he didn't jack up the salary.
Yeah, that we got to, you know, the feeling we have. It's how do you show that? Means by some gift. You got to give some gift. Got to give something, whether it's give some food to someone or some flower, you know, a bouquet of flowers, or write a letter, or, you know, some symbol, or sign of our feelings.
Or take it to the beach.
Take to the beach, yeah. So that's like showing. Like there's a saying, right? Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, some action like that. So Krishna doesn't need this leaf, fruit, flower, water, but it's just a token to show that we love him. Of course, if you are a very rich person, it would be wrong to just put a plate in front of Krishna with one leaf and a glass of water and one flower on it. No, you should give more. You should give, first of all, if you're a rich person, you can give Krishna on a gold plate, and give him nice garam doodh, hot milk or lassi, and samosa, kachori, gulab jamun, paneer sabji, everything like that. But if you're a very poor person, you can just get out your banana leaf and put a cup of water and just some simple green leaf shark like that, some simple boiled rice or whatever like that, and that's perfectly fine. So according to your means, then you give Krishna, according to that. So the poor person can just give very basic stuff to Krishna with their love and devotion, and the rich person gives more opulent things. They can do that with their love and devotion, and that's very nice. And Prabhupada indicated how to offer something. You've prepared an offering. Now, how are you you put that in front of a picture or a deity of Krishna or some form of the Lord, Sita Ram, Lakshmi Narayan, Radha Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, whatever, Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya. So you put your offering in front of the picture or the deities, and then what do? Prabhupada explained on one or two occasions. Well, he said the real mantra to offering. We know, it's written in the offering, the manual, that you got to say the prayers to the Guru and say the prayers to Panchatattva and the Hare Krishna mantra and everything. But Prabhupada indicated there's another kind of mantra, and that's the mood. How to do, because you can say the mantra like a parrot, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But there's a mood to go with that. So what is the mood Prabhupada indicated? He said the mantra for offering is, Krishna, please take. And Prabhupada explained, means you got to feel like you're a beggar. Yeah, like if there's a beggar, can the beggar force the person to give them some charity?
No.
You're just begging, please, can you help me, please? And the person doesn't have to do anything. You're just pleading. You're just like begging very humbly. A beggar should be very humble. I'm very helpless. I'm very insignificant. I'm suffering. Please help me. And you can't force anyone to help the beggar. But the beggar is just begging. That's what we call begging, right? So you're just pleading, begging, please. So we beg Krishna, please accept this. We don't say, come on, hurry up, take this food. We're in a hurry to eat it and we have to go to work. So you can't just demand or force Krishna to take your offering. And if you think, oh, Krishna, I'm such a good cook. I'm like, master chef of Australia and New Zealand. I'm the master chef. And I prepared food and first class ghee, all organic food and everything. You have to eat this. No, he doesn't have to eat it. And he won't eat it because you got the wrong attitude, thinking that you're the best cook and you're very proud and arrogant and everything like that, and very, demanding and everything. So he won't take it. But you have to be like begging, I'm just useless, hopeless and everything. I don't know how to cook, and you are the supreme enjoyer. And, how am I going to? I'm just a Kali Yuga nonsense, sinful person. How can I offer to you? Like that. So that mood of being very humble, that we're not. And then he said that we're not qualified. So the first thing he said, please take, like I'm a beggar. And then he said that I'm not qualified, that we shouldn't feel qualified to cook for God. We're cooking for God. He has very qualified cooks like Radharani, Mother Yashoda, pure spiritual forms, 100% pure love. They're very qualified cooks. But we're just this Kali Yuga person. What qualifications do we have, just coming out of ignorance and everything, passion? Like that. So we should feel that we're not qualified. And at one time he said, I am the most rotten. So that's indicating the feeling also, feeling that I am the most rotten, like that. And one time when he said that, when he was talking about this mantra of offering, he said, I am rotten. Then you could hear on the recording his voice was breaking up. So much feeling when he was saying that. I am rotten. I'm not qualified. I am rotten. And you could hear his voice like cracking up. And then he said, I'm just simply trying to assist my spiritual master. So that is our qualification. So even though we're not qualified, what qualifies us is that our spiritual master has ordered us, has instructed us to offer our food to Krishna, right? So that is our only qualification. Personally, we don't have any qualification to offer food to God, but our only hope, only chance that Krishna will accept our offering is that we're just trying to assist. So Prabhupada said that is the mood. You're preparing the food with that intention that I'm just assisting my guru. My guru has ordered me to prepare some food and offer to Krishna. And so we're assisting our guru. And really the guru is the one that's offering to Krishna. So what he really recommended is that you offer the food to your guru to give to the Lord, and the guru will take care like that. So even in the early days, even the devotees in the early days didn't even know all these mantras. Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Padayate, they didn't know that one. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Brahmanataya Cha, didn't know that one. You know, but they knew the prayers to Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Budale Shimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nivasesha Sannivadi Paschachari Satane. So like that, you can just put the food before the Lord, offer to the guru, and with that in your mind that you're giving it to the guru, and you're assisting your guru, you're giving the food to him, and he's going to give it to the Lord. You know, he'll give it to his guru, and it'll go up to the Lord, so forth like that. So this is very good information to know. If we want to worship Krishna, we should never be very proud. We should always be very humble and feel very unqualified. And we're just trying to assist our spiritual master. And then we have a hope that our worship will be effective and we can achieve some good result, and that Krishna will take the offering like that. Does that make sense? Would anyone want to say anything about that? I'm not saying that we shouldn't chant all the mantras that we've been told to chant like that. You can still go ahead, but try to develop that mood too, like it's saying, indicating in this verse, like Prabhupada said, bhakti's mentioned twice in this verse, and that indicates very important. If you see something written twice or 3 times, that means it's very important. So in this verse, bhakti is twice mentioned, with love, you know, with devotion. So we should try, as well as the mechanically chanting the mantras, we should try to introduce some of that devotion. And one time I was offering a bhoga in my Guru Maharaj's ashram, in his little temple room. He's got deities there, and I put the bhoga that my god sister had cooked. I put that in front, and I was, you know, did Archaman, sipped the water and everything, and ringing the bell, chanting the mantras, doing everything I thought perfectly. And then my Guru Maharaj in the background, he was doing something in the background. He said to me, interrupted me in the middle of my offering. He said, "What are you doing?" I thought it was pretty obvious, offering food. So I said, I'm offering the bhoga. And he said, "That's not the way you offer bhoga. Who told you to do it that way?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "You should have your head bowed down on the ground while you're chanting the mantras." And so from that time, I always did that. He said that's the way that Prabhupada taught the devotees to do it. Of course, standards have changed a little bit over the years. But originally, and you'll notice if you look at some pictures of the early days in the movement when Prabhupada's around, sometimes you might come across a picture of a devotee, a pujari, lying down, full dandavat, lying down, full in front of the deities, with his hand outstretched, right hand ringing a bell. What is he doing? He's offering He's offering. So he's lying flat on the ground. Other times you'll see it with their head bowed down on the ground. So why do that? Because then you're adding more opportunity to develop that humility that I mentioned, that, you know, that beggar kind of mood. If your head is on the ground, if you're paying obeisances, your head is on the ground, then the idea, why do we do that? Why do we bow down our head on the ground? Because we're trying to develop humility, because we're all puffed up, we're all proud, thinking I'm so great, I'm so big. But you bow down your head on the ground, then that's very humbling. We're like the grass, like the straw in the street, you know. So that's a very important element, is that element of humility. And humility is the beginning of devotion. Without humility, we can't have any genuine devotion. You know, in the beginning of knowledge, let's look at that 13th chapter, text 12. There's a string of verses starting, no, 8, 13, 8, 13, 8 to 12, 4 verses together. We just look at I'll just, don't have to read the whole verse, but we'll just look at the first words. First words.
Did you say 13?
Yeah, 1, 3, 13.
Humility.
Yeah, this is the process of knowledge towards ultimately end up with pure bhakti, to ultimately end up with pure love and bhakti. But how does that pure love and bhakti, where does that start from? Where does that begin? Humility and pridelessness. You know, text 8 to 12. Amanitvam, adamvitvan. So amanitvam means humility, and adamvitvan means prideless. You know, so humble means we have to realize and feel that we're very small, and prideless means, pride means big, and prideless means without feeling big. So you have to feel small without feeling big, you know. So this is very important. And at the end of the purport, let's look at the end of the purport. Prabhupada says at the end of the purport, this whole process of knowledge is like a ladder. It's a long purport because he's explaining all the different things. But at the end of the purport, right at the end, he says, this is the last 4 sentences. Says, the beginning of knowledge, therefore, is amanitva, humility. One should be humble and know that he is subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Due to rebellion against the Supreme Lord, one becomes subordinate to material nature. One must know and be convinced of this truth. No, actually, let's go back. Let's read the whole paragraph. Bhakti Mala, do you want to read the last paragraph, beginning from?
Beginning from practicing humility up to the point of realization of the supreme truth, the absolute personality of Godhead. This process is just like a staircase, beginning from the ground floor and going up to the top floor. Now on this staircase, there are so many people who have reached the first floor, the second floor, or second or third floor, etc. But unless one reaches the top floor, which is the understanding of Krishna, he is at a lower stage of knowledge. If anyone wants to compete with God and at the same time make advancement in spiritual knowledge, he will be frustrated. It is clearly stated that without humility, understanding is not truly possible. To think oneself God is most puffed up. Although the living entity is always being kicked by the stringent laws of material nature, he still thinks, I am God, because of ignorance. The beginning of knowledge, therefore, is humility. One should be humble and know that he is subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Due to rebellion against the Supreme Lord, one becomes subordinate to material nature. One must know and be convinced of this truth.
So yeah, this is a very important element to add in all aspects of our life, including offering food. As this humility, and like I said, by bowing your head on the ground helps to do that. Of course, if you have some health issues and you can't bend over, then don't worry about it. And Krishna knows that, you know, that you're not bowing your head on the ground because you just physically can't bend down. you know, that's another story. And Krishna's not going to punish you. Oh, I'm not going to accept your offering because you can't bend over. But the main thing is to have that feeling of humility. And I found that just bowing your head down helps to invoke that feeling of smallness and humility more. So these are very important elements. Try to develop this devotion. And what is devotion? What is devotion? I mean, we have to feel that we're very small, and also the opposite, that God is very great. That we're small and God is great. And then naturally that feeling of devotion will be there. That I'm so small, and God is so powerful, so great. I need his protection. He can protect me. He's so powerful, so great, and I'm dependent on him. I need him. I'm depending on him. So that this feeling of humility is essential in order for us to develop devotion. If we're thinking I am big and powerful, I know everything, I know everything, I'm big and powerful, I'm rich and famous and popular and everything, I'm very beautiful, handsome, everything like that, I have so many good qualifications, then it's going to be impossible to develop devotion, because we're so proud. We're so proud. And we think, what do I need God for? I have everything I need. I don't need God. What do I need God? I don't need God. I'm God. That's exactly what Prabhupada was saying. We've been thinking, I'm God. I have everything. I am rich. I am famous. I am powerful. I have many influential friends. My family will protect me. My government will protect me. My military force will protect me. Everything. My insurance policy will protect me. We have so many, we're so proud of all these things. Science will protect me. Isn't it? Scientific advancement, that will save me from all my problems. Isn't it? People have so much faith in science now. But we're constantly, like Prabhupada said, we're constantly getting crushed by the material nature. Even with all the science, what happened during COVID time? Just crushed the whole world. This little bug, you can't even see it, probably didn't even exist. But it just crushed the whole society. And we're still, the whole world economy is still suffering because of that. So we're just constantly getting crushed, even with science and technology and computers and like that. And now we're going down the track of AI and robots and that. I guarantee we're going to get crushed more. We're thinking we're going to get more in control, more powerful. We're going to be more successful, more victorious, and defeat, the miseries of material nature with AI and robots and everything. But I guarantee we're just going to get more and more crushed. The more and more we think we can control nature, more and more crushed by nature we're going to be crushed 100%. And just look, what's happening now. The wars are just accelerating exponentially. Now Iran is getting involved with Israel, and now America is looking at sending something against Iran, and if then Iran will do something against America, it's just going to explode. We're in such a dangerous situation where we're trying to play God. We want to enjoy this material nature. We're trying to control the material nature. And material nature is just punishing us for this rebellion against God. The best thing to do would be give up all these false ideas of trying to enjoy and control and just surrender to God like that. But, as long as people are ignorant, and we think we don't need God, we need science, we need technology, we need politicians, and so forth, then we're going to continue to suffer. Anyone want to say anything about that? Hey. But don't worry about all these things on what I'm saying, because people get depressed about all these things. Don't worry about these things. This is all an impetus. This is all these miseries of the material nature, an impetus to go back to Godhead. And that was the beginning of this verse. Then if you want to go back to Godhead, then it's only by worshipping Krishna. And worshipping Krishna is very easy. So we have a very easy process to get out of all this madness of the material world. It's a complete madhouse, this material world. And but we have an easy loophole. There's an easy loophole Krishna has provided to get out of this madhouse, and that's give him a leaf, give him a fruit, give him a flower, water with love and devotion. So don't get depressed about the world's situation, but just realize that we don't want to go down that track ourselves. Don't become proud. Don't think that we can control material nature. Don't think that we are independent from God, independent from nature. We are fully under the control of nature, and we should just surrender. We should just surrender to God. We can't, of course, make Iran and Israel, and America surrender, but we can make ourselves surrender. So like I said, we should bow our head on the ground. And maybe if even if a few people see you bow your head down in humility, maybe they will too. And then you've done a great service for them. When you teach by your example how to be humble to God, how to humbly serve God, then maybe some other people will also be attracted. And then you've done a great service for them like that. Because that's part of the realization. We can't control the politics. We can't control the world situation. The only control we have is a little bit of control we have is over ourselves. How we respond to different situations, and that whether I'm going to, in this situation, take the humble approach or take the proud approach, so we have a little bit of free choice there.
I really like also that how we've talked about that we also, if we don't have any of these, if we don't have anything physical to offer, that we can offer it in our mind as well. And I really like that concept, because especially like even at home, if I don't have flowers, I like to try and imagine that I'm offering something nice, and in here I don't have anything to offer really, but so I think that's really nice, that story about the man with the hot rice, the sweet rice and everything. I always remember that, because sometimes we just don't have anything to offer, so it is really nice that we can do that as well, and that's still valid, that we
very
very
in the early days, Korma mentions in Australia, it was illegal in the early days to chant Hare Krishna on the streets. So the early devotees used to get chucked in jail. So when they were in jail, what did they do? They didn't have anything at all to worship Krishna, to serve Krishna. So they got together and they did a whole Sunday feast in their mind. They did it all in their mind. So someone was doing the kirtan in their mind, someone was decorating, someone cooked the feast, someone was giving the class, like that. They're all getting together and they all did a whole Sunday feast in their mind like that. So yeah, even without any material, any material paraphernalia, we can still do bhakti. That's the beauty of bhakti. And like he mentions here in the purport, anywhere, any place, doesn't matter. You think, well, India is the best place? No, you can do it anywhere. You can chant or hear about Krishna, remember Krishna, worship Krishna anywhere. You could do it in Vrindavan, but you could do it in some God-forsaken place, remote place like that. Like we're 5 hours away from a temple, So, but we are worshiping Krishna here like that. So, Gulshan is now in a very remote place. And but yeah, he can serve Krishna right where he is. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to spend money to go to India. You think, oh, I have to spend money to go to India to worship Krishna. No, you can without even spending any money. You can just right where you are, just meditate on doing some service for Krishna like that, and Krishna will be accepting that. Krishna will accept that like that. Okay, let's continue. Your internet seems to be working well now, Bhakti Mala. Do you want to read this next one? Here, Lord Krishna. So we're back to our text 26.
Here, Lord Krishna, Having established that he is the only enjoyer, the primeval Lord, and the real object of all sacrificial offerings, reveals what types of sacrifices he desires to be offered. If one wishes to engage in devotional service to the Supreme in order to be purified and to reach the goal of life, the transcendental loving service of God, then one should find out what the Lord desires of him. One who loves Krishna will give him what he wants and avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked. Thus, meat, fish, and eggs should not be offered to Krishna. If he desired such things as offerings, he would have said so. Instead, he clearly requests that a leaf, fruit, flowers, and water be given to him, and he says of this offering, I will accept it. Therefore, we should understand that he will not accept meat, fish, and eggs. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk, and water are the proper foods for human beings and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him, since he will not accept it. Thus, we cannot be acting on the level of loving devotion if we offer such foods.
So we've talked about having the right attitude. So that's half of the equation. This is the other half of the equation, that you have to do a service that's favorable to the Lord. Anukulyena. So it should be favorable to Krishna, what Krishna wants. Like Prabhupada says, one who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants. And he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked. So that's part of having that attitude that we want to love Krishna, we want to serve Krishna. Okay, we want to serve Krishna. Let's find out what Krishna wants. So Krishna's telling us here what he wants. So you give him what he wants. Don't give him what he doesn't want. So this idea of the Muslims have the idea of halal meat. There's no halal meat. No, you can't. God doesn't eat meat, so you're thinking you're purifying that, sanctifying that by, pointing it in the direction of Mecca before you cut its head off, whatever like that is not going to work. That's not going to be an effective process. And in the Vedic culture, for someone that's attached to eating meat, what's recommended for the meat eater is that they will worship Durga in some particular form of Durga. But they'll offer some lesser animal, not a mode of goodness animal like a cow, but a more ignorant, passionate animal like a goat. So they'll offer a goat, and there's a whole ritual there. They have to follow very carefully all the rituals of that. And you're only allowed to do it on the dark moon night. It means like Amavas, when there's no moon. And then you have to use a sharp knife, and then you have to chant a mantra in the air, just like I'm killing you now. In the future, you'll get a body to kill me. So like that, Dumbo, you're going to realize that this is not good. This activity is not good. The mantra you're saying is, now I'm killing you, in future you're going to kill me. So anyone with a little bit of a brain will realize what I'm doing is not a good activity, killing animals and eating animals like that. So the whole idea of all these rules was to slowly stop people from doing all these sinful things like that. But some people are attached to eating meat, so they were recommended to offer a goat to, Goddess Durga and like that. But one should never offer these things to God, to the Supreme Lord, because he's a vegetarian, so he won't eat these things. Prabhupada said one time that, or more than once, he said, we're not vegetarians, we're Krishnatarian. We're not vegetarian, we're Krishnatarian. Prabhupada said, if Krishna ate meat, we would eat meat too. You get that? So if Krishna ate meat, we would eat meat too. But he doesn't, so we don't. So we're his servants, so you're only going to eat the remnants from the master, right? Like that. So, I mean, if you're serving some big rich person, right, you'll feed the big rich person, and after the big rich person is eaten, then you'll get the leftovers, right? You'll get the remnants. So we're like that, we're feeding Krishna, and whatever's left over from his meal, then we eat that, you know, and that's prasadam, his mercy to us. So he's a vegetarian, so, you know, that means automatically we're vegetarian. And then so Prabhupada finishes off saying, whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him, since he will not accept it. So if we were going to eat some meat, then we can't offer that. There's no point offering that. It would be offensive to offer that. There would be no point offering that. So that food would not be prasadam, obviously. Whatever meat was, you know, non-vegetarian food, that would not be prasadam. It would just be bhoga. And then there's obviously, you know, it's said in the 3rd chapter, whatever we eat that's not offered is, like, we can look at that as like sinful to eat food that's not offered. So that's 3rd chapter, text 13, 14, something like that. 13, I think. 3rd chapter, text 13. Yeah, 13.
The devotee of the Lord are released from all kind of sin because they eat food which is offered to first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin.
Yeah. Verily means like sort of definitely. I think that means like definitely. Like that. So why is it that if we eat food that's not offered, why is it sinful? You have any idea? If someone asks you why is it sinful? Why is every mouthful you eat sin if you eat food that's not offered? What would be the reasons for that? Gandhi said because there's life in everything. Yeah, so there's a soul within even vegetables and plants and stuff. So what to speak of the animals and the fish and so forth. So then that's the body of that, even lettuce or cauliflower, broccoli is killed. The body is killed, and so the soul has kicked out of that body and has to go into another body. So there's some bad karma there. There's some bad karma there. Of course, the suffering of the soul in the lettuce or the cauliflower broccoli is a lot less than the soul in the body of a sheep or a pig or a cow. So there's less karma. There's no question about that. So there is less sin. It's less sinful to eat unoffered vegetarian food than it is to eat unoffered meat, which I mean you can't offer anyway. So it's definitely less sinful, but still there's some sin there. And eating even your salad without being offered, because those souls have been kicked out of their bodies and there was some little bit of pain for them. And there has been scientific experiments done that even plants feel pain. And they had like different greenhouses. And one greenhouse, they played like classical music and the plants grew very well. Another greenhouse, they played rock and roll music. They hardly grew at all. And the other greenhouse, they played like heavy metals kind of stuff. Bang, bang, bash, bang. And then they died, you know, so they definitely feel, you know, these external, from the external world, they definitely do feel, you know, what's going on. It definitely does affect them. There is some, although it is very less consciousness, but still some consciousness is there. So that little bit of suffering we've inflicted on them. And also you force them to move out of that body. So it has to take birth again, again as a lettuce or a broccoli or cauliflower or whatever, to take birth again to finish off that little bit of karma in that body. Say it has to spend 3 months as a broccoli, and then you chop its head off after 1 month. So it has to come back again as a broccoli to finish off the last 2 months. So it means you slow down its evolution. You slow down that soul's evolution to get the human life. So you're responsible for that. You're responsible for slowing down that soul's evolution to get the human body, which it can get liberated from that. So that is sinful. That is sinful. And that's called violence. That's called himsa, violence. That violence means you're slowing down that soul's going back to Godhead, getting liberated, going back to Godhead. So anything that slows down some souls going back to Godhead is violence. Whereas an interesting example, the opposite of non-violence, is if some human kills another human, right, murder, if the king or the ruler executes that murderer, that's actually non-violence. That's non-violence. That's not violence. That's non-violence. Because if you don't kill the murderer, he has to be, when he dies naturally, he's going to be punished severely in hell. Punished severely in hell for killing a human being. And then he's going to take very low birth and have to work all the way up again. Whereas if he's executed by the king or whatever, then that sin of murder is nullified, neutralized, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So he took a life and he's given his own life. So then that's neutralized and he can continue on from that point upwards. So that's actually non-violence in that case, to kill that person. So it's interesting there to understand really what non-violence is and what violence is. But yeah, slowing down the soul's progress is violence. Whereas, like, if you kill the broccoli and you offer the broccoli to Krishna, then that's non-violence, because that soul from the broccoli will immediately jump up to the human form of life in the next life, because its body got offered and sacrificed to Krishna. So you've done a great service to that soul in the broccoli by offering its body to Krishna. And it's accelerated its path back home, back to Godhead. So you've done a great service there. So John is asking, will it come in the mode of goodness? Can't define that. Well, I mean, human being is definitely, generally in the mode of goodness, because we do have a higher kind of potential for knowledge. Whether we use it or not is another thing. But even if we're not in a mode of goodness human being, even if we're just real uncivilized human being, still you've saved that, soul in the broccoli, thousands of, or millions, probably millions of births. There's probably millions of births between a broccoli and a human body. So you've bypassed it, millions of births, because it has to go through all the plant species, then all the insect species, then all the, bird species, then all the animal species, and then starts the human. 8,400,000 species, 8 million below human, 400,000 different kind of humans, civilized, uncivilized, like that. So, it makes a big difference, to offer the food. And it doesn't have to be, well, I can't get temple prasadam. No, you offer yourself. It can be very simply. You just, you don't have, well, I don't have deities. You don't need deities. You just need a picture. Even if you can get a picture of Panchatattva, the 5 personalities, Lord Chaitanya and his associates, that's the best picture. Prabhupada said that's the best picture in the beginning, is just to worship Panchatattva. In Kali Yuga, the best worship is to worship Lord Chaitanya and his associates. That's the best worship, most effective worship. And then a picture of Prabhupada, your guru. And like I said, you're assisting your guru. And offering to Lord Chaitanya like that. And that'll definitely be very effective. And you can do that in your van. You can do that in your hotel room. You can do that anywhere, any place. It just takes a few minutes. Doesn't have to be a fancy thing. Even you don't have any fancy plate or whatever, doesn't matter. Just get a paper plate or whatever, or even what you can do. Like today I mucked up. Today I ate out of one of the Lord's eating bowls by mistake. And Giant, he was chastising me. And But then I just got some cow dung. I got some cow dung and cleaned it, and then it can be used. And got some cow dung and cleaned it. So even like that, even if you don't have a fancy plate, you can just put some cow dung even on a regular plate, put a bit of cow dung, and then wash it, obviously, wash it all off. And then that can be regarded as a clean plate. And then just offer. Or even like Bhakti Mala was saying about in the mind, you can just offer, just do a mental offering. Even say you're going to some, cafe or something, you're traveling, like Gulshan's traveling, you're in a cafe or something, and you've got some salad, or you bought a salad from, Aldi or something, and then just do a mental offering, just in your mind, offer to Lord Chaitanya and his associates, offer to Prabhupada in your mind, and then it's done like that. And then be very grateful for Krishna's prasad, Krishna's mercy. So it's just a lot of it is just an attitude. We just got to have the right attitude. So don't worry, if you don't have any fancy facilities at any particular point in time. The facilities aren't the main thing. The main thing is the attitude. You want to give Krishna what he likes, the best you can. And you just do the best you can. And one time, Sanatana Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, he was traveling all alone in the forest of Vrindavan. He didn't have any facilities at all, just like a sannyasi. And he was carrying his deity around with him of Krishna, of Gopal. And he had such an intimate personal relationship with Krishna that the deity would speak to him.
Oh.
And all he was offering at this one point was a mixture of flour and water, like, chapatis, but without salt. He didn't have salt. So he just made a dough of flour and water, and obviously cooked that into like a roti chapati. And he offered that to Krishna, to Gopal. And Gopal said to him one day, why are you offering me without even any salt? There's not even any salt. And then Sanatana Goswami answered back to him and said, well, it's your fault. You're not giving me salt. You're not supplying the salt. So if you don't supply the salt, how can I give you salt? That. So it was just a very funny, very, without any awe and reverence, like what we were talking about on Saturdays, had a certain relationship of friendship with the Lord. There's no awe and reverence. There's just pure love.
Yeah,
So he talked back. He said, well, don't complain about there's no salt in the chapati, because you're not supplying me salt. So what can I do? I'm helpless like that. So anyway, that was a very instructive pastime. Whatever you have, you just give that. Whatever you have, you give that. And then, Krishna will have a lot of fun. Because like we said, Krishna doesn't need the chapati. He doesn't need the salt. He just wants our love. So Krishna was just playing with his devotees, Sanatana Goswami, just playing with them there. And yeah, wonderful.
Hey, Prabhu, I have to get going. I've got to go take my medication. So
yeah, time's up anyway, I was going to say. There's a lot to talk about, so we'll talk about it next week. Okay, lovely to see you both.
thank you.
Krishna, you take care.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.